So I'm Darren. I run the marketing at Green Man Gaming and Playfire. I'll explain a little bit about who we are. I'm standing in for Paul. So those that were looking forward to seeing our illustrious CEO on stage, you've got. I'm sorry, I'm just not as tall. I haven't got as much hair on my head, and I haven't got the same sort of military background and trappings as Paul. So you'll please have to bear with me on that. Okay. So I'd like you to meet Green Man Gaming, just to give you a little bit of background about who we are before we talk about some of our growth challenges. The company was founded in 2009, but launched in May 2010, headquartered in Bloomsbury. So basically, the easier way of explaining that is directly between King's Cross and Euston stations. Why were we located there? Well, Paul, it's founder and CEO's privilege to locate the company wherever they want. So Paul doesn't really like travelling on the underground. He comes into Euston Station. So he founded the business and set it up in the first available Regis building, serviced offices near Euston Station. So sometimes there's these CEOs' desires often drive what we do and how we do things. We also last year opened up a satellite office in Santa Monica in California. Again, because we had a large focus on the US market and on US investment as well. A little bit more about us, where we sell and retail primarily PC downloadable games, from large AAA titles right down to small indie games. And in the UK, we sell Xbox and PlayStation consoles, peripherals, and games. We offer our consumers a choice of platforms, a choice of DRMs. For anyone in the games industry, you'll know that's a really, really important thing to have. But in terms of our focus, and focus is really, really important for our business, and really, really important to maintain whenever you're growing at a phenomenal rate. We are focused on the core gamer segment. This is about the 5 to 7% of the total market who generate about 65% of the revenue within the games industry. We don't sell family-oriented games. We don't market or sell social or casual or web-based games. We are sticking to the knitting and staying true to that, even though sometimes you get your head turned by various offers and potential partnerships. We sell across 185 territories globally from London. We've partner contracts with over 300 games publishers, from the largest like Ubisoft and Electronic Arts right down to one man and his game. And we launched last year a Trustpilot rating service, which if any of you are in retail and you don't have a ratings or review service, please do have a look at it, because it really does boost your opportunities from a search engine marketing point of view. And we also acquired another business, which was a strategic acquisition in the summer of 2012, which allows us to overlay gameplay, behavioral data with the purchase and browsing data that we've got to really move and pivot our business into a big data player for core gaming. We've also been recognized. We're in the Sunday Times Tech Track 100 Ones to Watch for this year. We're part of the government's first cohort of 25 companies announced within the Future 50 program. We're part of the Silicon Valley Comes to the UK program as well. And Paul, our CEO, got an Order of Merit in the Great British Entrepreneur of the Year Awards, which I'm sure many of you in the room will be familiar with. But enough about us, the company. I want to talk about where we are, how we've got there from a scaling point of view, and give you some practical examples of some of the challenges we faced and we do face, and how we've dealt with them. Some of these might be applicable to your own businesses and ventures. Some of them may not. Take away from it what you will. And if there's anything you want to ask me in the follow-on break that we have, please feel free to talk to me about it. So some of our growth considerations. Well, I'm going to cover some approaches to hiring, to structure and development when you're in a high growth phase, to very practical issues that cannot be avoided around accommodation and your environment, the culture and how the culture of the company changes and things you need to be aware of whenever you go through a very high growth phase, and some of the additional support that you need that actually you might not know you need, but whenever you bring on extra resource to help with that support, you realize the weight that it lifts off your shoulders and the ability that it gives you to go back and actually do what you're there to do in the first place. So dealing with GMG's growth. So let me take you through a little bit of a sort of a story of where we've come from. So founded in 2009, the company first started, and by the end of 2010 was 8 people, grew to 19 people in 2011, a big growth year, 2012, up to 36, and then is currently on 52, with even a new starter appearing this morning in our customer service area. That was driven by just a huge traffic growth and revenue growth, so it's a high-class problem to have. But it forces you into very, very quickly scaling and looking at the business that you will become rather than the business that you are at the moment. Also, it brings up challenges around things like us being a globally selling business, dealing with different and complex markets, dealing with expertise that you need, for example, to enter the Russian market or to have a greater penetration in the Brazilian market. There's also a greater need for experience and specialist skills, and I'll touch on that in a moment. And resources and people need to be a fundamental part of your growth strategy because they fundamentally will affect how your business performs if you get it wrong. So, apologies that this is a bit small for those at the back. But so looking at our approach to hiring, so whenever you're growing and you're growing at that rate, you've got to be very quick and decisive with your hiring policy. One of the things that we've done as a gaming company is we like to bring in people who play games, love games, and are passionate about the gaming industry and about how they live their lives in games. So we launched a First Shot program, as we call it, which is our internship program. Many of those people that have come on for a 4-week placement with Green Man Gaming over the last 3 years have actually gone on to full-time employment within Green Man Gaming, and we've given them, some of them have then moved on, and we've given them a first important step in their career, which I'll touch on later is increasingly important as you grow. We like to employ direct from contacts. We've all got lots of contacts, lots of friends in the industry, and it's really important to leverage those and use tools out there like LinkedIn, like personal contacts, like events that we go to and industry events to be able to attract staff to the company. We also offer a refer a friend bonus, which if any of you offer it yourselves, is substantially more cost-effective, let's say, than paying someone to recruit who could be on anywhere between a 15 to 25% commission on the first year's annual salary. And in the gaming industry, it's our customers are very prevalent users of course, Facebook, Twitter, but also Reddit. If any of you use Reddit, there's a subreddit for gaming. We've actually hired probably about 10 to 15% of our staff directly from actually non-paid for promotion of roles within Reddit, and also picking out people who are who want to help us. If you get people who help out other people who comment on your Facebook wall, hey, where do you live? Oh, you're in the UK. Great. What do you do? Right. You seem to have the wherewithal to actually talk confidently about gaming and gameplay behavior. Come in for an interview. So, it's amazing the things that you can do free of charge. And then, of course, we've got more specialists, for more specialist experience. For example, we recently recruited our first ever data scientist. We can't just go to Reddit to get that. We need to go to a headhunter and get that specialist experience in. Now, recruitment agencies as well. For us, we've had as a growing business, you get approached a hell of a lot, and therefore you can have a better bargaining power, and you can actually have much more favourable terms for recruitment if you need to go out to market. But also, one of the principles we have is, although we've got some favourable terms with some of our key recruiters, you shouldn't feel the need to scrimp and save for the right person. So it's important to get the right person in that will help your business grow further. Incidentally, something we've also added into our recruitment contracts is a non-solicitation clause, where if someone places an employee with us, that they can't then poach that employee out after a period of time to then fill a role somewhere else. If they do that, they get kicked off our recruiters list, plain and simple. And then onboarding. Well, as you grow, of course, you've got to offer standard employment contracts. We offered a 6-month probation period. Now, it might seem long to some of you, but whenever you get particularly younger graduates in, you might actually place them in one role, and actually they may be better suited to another. So it gives you the freedom to move within. Gives you, as a business, the ability to better judge the people that you're bringing in by having a longer probation period. Of course, we offer options, and also there are various perks and benefits that you can offer that actually don't cost much, and in some cases are very favourable from a tax point of view. There are things like the cycle buying scheme, interest-free season ticket loans. Some of the guys that we bring in, particularly graduates, you're not bringing them in on a high wage. They're here to work in the industry and to build their career and to start to grow, but you can do things to make it much, much easier for them. And we've also, in the last 4 or 5 months, sort of grown some long trousers and implemented a full induction program where we bring people properly into the business, sit them down, give them proper presentations about what each area of the business is responsible for, how they would interact with that area of the business, and some of the company values, tone of voice and attitude, and so on. So you've also got to develop structure as you grow. So again, a key thing for us now, and we've really started to focus on this from last year, is really giving people the sense that we're offering them a career, not just a job. It's a common trap to fall into, particularly whenever you might have a high burn rate. You might be changing direction. You might have funding coming in. You might have funding coming out. These are people's lives and these are people's careers, and it's important to actually start to develop them. Within our business, we've got I'm one of 6 members of the management team. And coming with us comes a lot of experience in how to do proper appraisals, proper reviews. And because we're not a large corporate, doesn't mean to say we shouldn't do it. We should absolutely do it, because it's about telling people and giving them measures for how they're doing and how they're performing and whether they're meeting KPIs and objectives and what they need to do to improve. And also setting up a formal structure for reviews. It's important to define a structure, particularly from an organizational structure. You know, even if you're only 10, 20 people, it's about, again, planning for the company that you will become, not the company that you are now. So about 18 months ago, we changed job titles to US conventions, so VP rather than director, and so on, because we were, again, 35% of our customer base is in the US. We were attracting US investment and going after US investment. So again, it was appropriate for us to pair ourselves up to that way of working. But within that, you've got to set the structure of what comes below that. What comes below a VP level? You can't just have someone making up a title, for example, because someone's had a particularly good year. Because what happens? Everyone else in the company is saying, well, why did he get that title? Where does that title come from? So you've got to have a proper structure. And also, as part of a career progression path, it gives people something to move on to. And I would say and encourage you to do that early and set it up early. It can also help in dealing with, you know, what I would call withdrawal of responsibilities, which is what some people may defensively look at whenever we bring in new people, right? So if you grow the team and you grow your customer base, you might bring in, you might have one person who's a marketing manager, and we bring in a PR manager. Now, you deal with the fact that the PR part of the marketing job has now moved on to someone else. So you've got to be clear about how you're focusing the responsibilities of everyone in their job roles whenever you go through this change. And also dealing with exits. You know, it's important to fail fast. If you're a small business, your livelihood, your growth depends on people performing. And if you've got this review structure and appraisal structure, and you can very easily tell that people are not performing, you've got to be able to deal with that very quickly and to replace. But still leave on good terms, because anyone, I think there are a couple of people I can see that work within the games industry, and I'm sure you'd agree that it's actually not a very large industry, and everyone knows everyone else. So you always want to leave on good terms, because it's a reflection of your company. Also, very practical issues with space and environment. Right? If you grow, you need to put people somewhere. So we acquired Playfire in the summer of 2012, as I mentioned earlier. They had such cool offices in Covent Garden. Really, really nice offices, exposed brickwork, down an alleyway above the Paul Smith shop, and you know, it was great offices, right? So it would have been fantastic for us as a company to actually take those offices over and to move out of our Regis rented accommodation. However, we would have outgrown that office in 3 months. So you've got to, again, planning for the company that you will become rather than the company that you are now. So we've been in flexible serviced office space. Our Regis accommodation has allowed us to grow very practically, because if a business ends up next to us, they get scared. Because what we do is we move them out and we knock down the partition wall and we grow into space. So our wall, and I've got a photo of it at the end, when you come into our office now, you can actually see a timeline of our growth, because we've left some of the scars on the wall to show how small we were and how far we've come. Of course, the bottom point, it does help whenever they actually do it properly and they realize that a stud wall goes above the suspended ceiling, as we found out on Christmas Eve when our ceiling fell in. So dealing with ceilings falling in, you've got to be able to sort that out. Seating teams together and collaborators together. Really, really important, because you've got to create the space, but also you've got to arrange people properly. You've got to give them the right amount of width behind their desk. So in theory, you want to pack them in, but you know, they're not cattle. They're there to help your business grow. So it's really important to measure out the space properly. And we had, in our last big shake-up, we had about 3 attempts at trying to do it properly, one of which involved the mathematician who actually got it wrong. No longer works for us, not just because of that. And we like to seat the management team by our own wish in the center of the floor, not together with our teams, but it's important to be visible and to be at the center of things that are happening. Again, it doesn't cost much to improve the environment. So once you've got people in, once you're getting them performing really well, working longer hours sometimes, simple things like plants, shelves, storage space, screens up on the wall. So we've got a live sales board. We've got a board that shows our server capacity and how we're doing. We've got an operations board that shows customer service tickets coming in. We've got a Google Analytics board that shows our traffic real time. So we demonstrate that we are a real-time business, and we also have we also are in the process of putting personas of our customers up on the wall, a bit like top trump cards. Sorry, I should have put it in the deck. But if you haven't done any persona work, it's really, really good to do. We did a lot of survey work on our typical profiles of customers. We built actual characters around them. We gave them names. We took a stock image of what they looked like, where they came from, what their background was, what their parents did, what they liked to eat, what they liked to play, how long they played it for. And we put those around the office because everyone in the company has ownership of doing right by that customer. We've also got a coffee machine, which you might sound, woo, whoopie-doo. But if you go to simple things like Nespresso, for example, you get the coffee machine free if you buy the pods. So for a lot of our guys that are more junior, if they're going out and buying a coffee at £2 a time in central London, it's expensive for them. So it just adds to that overall effect on the environment. We've got a beer fridge, and I'm sure you've probably heard about beer fridges and ping pong tables and so on. We haven't got a ping pong table, but we do have a beer fridge, and that's important because we had a culture a while ago of that was starting to creep in of people who would like down tools at 5:30. What we did as well, what we had 18 months ago was in that year, we had a bar bill in the bar across the road, Mabel's, very good bar in Bloomsbury. We had a bar bill of about £12,000, which, considering we were about 28 or so people at that time, quite a lot. We're quite a sociable bunch. What we did was we brought in the beer fridge with deliveries from Ocado twice a week. People now stay till about 7:30 and finish the tasks that they were doing. They can take a beer. Hey presto, the pure economics of it is our bar bill across the road has reduced last year with 52 people to £5,000. And we're only spending about £1,500 to £2,000 in Ocado deliveries. So we've actually managed to save money along the way as well as make it a more sociable place. And growing culture, again, allied to that last point is, it's work together, play together. So we have things like game-focused activities and tournaments. Because we've got a beer fridge, it makes it a lot more a sociable place. So some of the guys ran a poker night on Monday night, and they were there till about 11 o'clock. Again, actually in the office, and they didn't start it till about 7:30. Right, but these sort of things help. As a gaming company, we regularly run tournaments where they compete against each other, and we share. We still take people out. We still go for lunches and drinks and so on. But it's there for times for sharing stuff that you might not share in the office, and it's wholeheartedly encouraged. We have regular town hall meetings, as we call them, which is a stand-up. We talk, and the management team talk about what we're doing because we feel it's important to empower our staff with information. Now, we did have a situation recently where something was posted on one of our employees. They posted something on their Facebook wall. But, of course, that serves, and that's a danger, right? But actually, that was like one person doing it and who had just started, and we can easily close that off. But giving people information about how the business is doing is vitally important, because the last thing they want to see is to read about something in the gaming press that we've been working on and just not sharing with them. So that's information sharing is really, really important. And reinforcing the core values. We've got a core value of fight for every customer that we try and push right through every part of the organization. And as I mentioned before, having the personas and the visual representations of our customer, whenever you look up at it, you can say, would John buy this marketing campaign? Would John buy this response that we've just given him from customer service? It's really important to ground yourself back in the world of the customer, because that's what it's all about, and that's what generates our revenue. So just sort of finishing off, there are some other things. As you become bigger, you just require more support, right? So we're now up to 52 people. So we've had to bring in some sysadmin people, because we can't have our CTO running about the office, running cables, setting up people's laptop for a new starter. It's just not valuable use of that person's time, right? We've got office support and management. So we still have to run an office. We still have to run an office that's got 50 people in it. They need watered, they need fed, they need to know that facilities are being handled appropriately. And also, we actually brought on last year a PA for our CEO and for the management team. And before that, we were doing everything from people in the management team actually organizing the Christmas party, booking flights. Our CEO was booking flights for people to go to a games conference, and that's not valuable use of his time. And there comes a point whenever you reach a certain size that you say, actually, let's free the senior people up to work on the stuff that they're actually good at and they're employed for. And that's really important. And Sarah, who's fantastic, manages meetings, manages diaries, deals with recruiters as well, and doing the CV paper sift and all of the sort of handoff where you don't really want to be have lots and lots of floods of inquiries. So, that just covers off some practical examples of what we've encountered and some of the little things that we've had to deal with along the way that I hope might be in some way valuable for any of the challenges that you face. If you want to go into any of those points in any more depth, please grab me at the lunch break. This is a panorama of our office, and actually between every window was a stud wall that used to be an individual office. So we started here, and we knocked down. This was a corridor. We then kicked the people out of the corner office, knocked across, filled in, and they hadn't supported the ceiling in between. So thank you very much, and just see me at the break if you have any questions. Thank you.
We've got time for one or two questions now.
Hiya.
How do you know when people are working and when they're just playing games?
Before I was at Green Man Gaming, I ran a digital division of PlayStation for EMEA, and we actually had community managers and people who interact with people in forums and in-game. And the problem was even worse. Now we're sort of one step removed in our business. It is hard to know when people, and you've just got to actually, if they're still delivering, they're still delivering. And if they're delivering while playing and gaining that knowledge, then so be it. We turn it the other way around. We encourage our staff to play. So there was a game, Payday 2, launched last year. It's best played as a 4-player game, so 4 of you playing. What we did was we gave 4 guys in our company a free copy of it. We got them to play it. We live streamed it to help people, and it was just the week before launch, so we could show our users, actually, this is this is some of our people playing and failing and hopefully getting good at it, and this is what you can learn from it. So I don't think it's something that we fear, but something that we encourage, as long as they're still delivering their objectives and doing the job. It's the main thing.
At what point do you grow out of your serviced offices, do you think? What point will you actually start renting
Very
stuff?
good question. We have, we actually know that because there is it's a sort of a nuance of the building that we're in. There's a step up and then step down. And there's only so far we can grow and all be together, which is one more office. We can move one more office out. We can grow to probably about 72, we reckon, before we need to find accommodation. And again, we started looking around the area because, as I mentioned earlier, it's about planning for the company that you'll become rather than the company that you are. But at the moment, it offers us great flexibility. And you're right, if you grow to a certain level, you've got to know what your level is before you've got to actually move. And if you're moving, it's comms, it's IT, it's infrastructure, it's everything.
Yeah. Great, thank you very much.
Thank you.